All right. Let's make this thing happen. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Yeah. So everyone just settle in to the smooth stylings of smooth jazz. Yep, let's find this. This is, you're listening to, let's find the screen share. There we go. Yeah, Free Play by the Andrew Allen Trio. I listen to this basically every time I do my old live stream thingamabob here. This is the smooth jazz covers that Andrew Allen and his trio do from all kinds of video games. So if you like it, go to Amazon and buy it. Totally worth it. Totally worth it. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Prop Live. Welcome to this super rad show that I do where I answer all of your prop and costume making questions. It's Thursday. It's when we usually do it. Today is a little bit different. I did not book a guest for today because I've been in the shop a lot and been kind of slammed, so I didn't grab a guest. We'll get someone next week, but for now you're gonna have to just stare at my mug the entire time as I tackle a whole pile of prop and costume making questions. But first, I want to talk about some other things that I've got going on. I know a lot of you guys, if you're regulars to the old Prop Live show, then you're probably already aware of the old the Foamsmith trilogy that I'm working on. I've got two of them out. Let's zip that over there. Boop. Foamsmithing. Foam Armor Smithing Volume 2 is out. It's $5 at punishprops.com. It's an ebook. It's all about making your armor. Well, Volume 1 was about making your armor. Volume 2 is about finishing and painting your armor. And it's got all kinds of really good stuff in here, all about like sealing your armor. Like this one here is with Plasti Dip, which I like an awful lot. And painting your armor and weathering it to look like it's rusting or all greasy or patinaed. So if you're looking to get some really good painting techniques, whether it's for foam or not, then you could do a lot worse than throwing $5 at that little ebook there. No joke. I was at Starbucks the other day and I bought, I'm gonna come clean. I bought a pumpkin spice latte and it cost $5.25. And you know what? All I got after that was regret. Just tons of regret. This ebook is $5. Zero regret. All right, one other thing I've got going on that you guys will probably be interested in. I just built something I'm really proud of. This guy here. Let me flip that up there. Boop. This is a hand cannon from the game Destiny. I've been playing Destiny a lot. Been enjoying it. This is the hand cannon with the Vanguard paint job on it. This is all done out of EVA foam, all floor mats and craft foam. And I did it in about a day and a half, cranked it out, and I'm giving it away. You're like, Bill, that's crazy. Why would you give it away? Well, if you go over to punishprops.com, there's a link right there for the hand cannon giveaway. There's this rafflecopter thing over here. It's going really good. You have 3 different ways you can sort of get in on the action if you want. We've got the like me Punish Props on Facebook, like or follow Shimbeard on Twitter, and then tweet about the giveaway. So you can do all 3 of those ways to join, to throw your hat in the ring, and I'm doing that for a week. So by this time next week, we'll have announced a winner. So if you haven't done that already, go to punishedprops.com and check it out and enter to win the Destiny hand cannon. I'm looking forward to making a lot more stuff from Destiny, but I haven't picked anything favorite yet. I've been playing a bunch the last week or two, and Got some really neat stuff, but nothing's favorite yet. Nothing is the thing I gotta make. Let's see. Other than that, I'm ready to go. I'm just gonna sit here and answer your guys' questions as they come in. If you're watching live, the Q&A app is running. You can just send in a question right there. It'll pop up on my screen here, and I can select it and answer it for you. But first, we've got some questions that came in earlier today via the Facebook page, via Punished Props Facebook page. So let's start. Mikhail, a regular, wants to know, what's your favorite Dremel bit? The one I use the most is probably the like 1/2 inch wide sanding bit. I use that an awful lot. But I also have a really, I got a set of those like diamond tipped, whatever, cheapo bits that are all these really small tipped ones. So I have one that's just got a sphere on the end of it, and I'll use that for grinding out plastic bits, like bubbles and stuff, and a resin cast that I need to clean up. I like that one an awful lot. Yeah, that's it. Those are my two favorites for now. Thank you, Mikhail, for your question. This next one's from Jay Cosplay, another regular. A lot of regulars. I like that you guys keep coming back. Jay wants to know, what are your favorite weathering techniques for adding rust and grime to a prop? Well, there are a lot of those things listed in Foamsmith Volume 2. But I'll tell you what, I got my hands on some weathering powders. My friend Alan turned me onto these things. They're really neat for me. Maya makes them. Tamaya weathering powder. Let's see here. Beep. This stuff here, Weathering Master and Stick. I haven't tried this stick, but this powder over here is really cool. It's what I'd like to call dirty makeup for your props. They have a bunch of different colors and stuff. They're worth grabbing and picking up. You can get them at a hobby store or order them on Amazon. They're really cool for adding like greasy, sooty grime and stuff to your props. It's not like acrylic where you can put a little bit of paint on and wipe it off. It's kind of accumulative. You just sort of keep brushing it on, and it sort of layers and stuff. But it's cool. It can be a little more subtle, a little more nuanced than just slapping paint all over it. Weathering powders. So there you go. I recommend you give those a try. Jay also wants to know, when was the first time you got recognized on the street? Well, one of the cool things about being someone who is known for making costumes, for example, when I was at Salt Lake Comic-Con this year, I had my my Draugr costume on. So I had a mask on. It looked all creepy and scary. And when I was wearing that, people were very interested in taking my picture or taking a picture with me. But when I take that off, no one knows who I am. And I kind of like that. I can just walk through the crowd and be like, oh, I'm just some dude. That being said, though, someone I think I went to Red Robin once, and the server there recognized me. I was like, hey, yeah, I'm the guy from the internet. I make props. So that would probably be it. All right, I'm going to start grabbing some questions here from the Q&A app. The first one's from KT Logan. KT says, got your foam armor volume 1 plus the first prop manual. Thank you, KT. I was wondering about mounting armor on some type of material like Boba Fett. Any suggestions? So if you wanted to mount your armor to, let's say, cloth, if you want it to be removable, then you can use something like Velcro. That's what I do with my my Commander Shepard armor. You have to be careful that if it's load bearing enough that it doesn't pull the cloth and stretch it. What you could do if that's a problem is reinforce it with nylon webbing, maybe underneath the cloth. That way the armor isn't pulling on the cloth, it's pulling on the webbing, and that could be like going over your shoulder or something. Make sure to attach the Velcro to your cloth or your webbing to sew it there. That way it won't stretch and it won't pull off like if you hot glued it. I'll hot glue the other side of the Velcro to the foam for sure. But if it's going to the cloth, I make sure that I stitch it. You could also put like pop rivets and stuff through cloth. You can do all kinds of goofy stuff. You could put grommets through your cloth. In fact, my shopmate Will did this for some of his armor. he had a piece of leather and he put a couple of grommets in it, and then his armor just had a string on it. So we'd feed the string through the grommets and then hold up the cloth and tie it underneath, and that would hold it in place. So there you go, KT. Some options for you. Give it a go. Try out some things and see what's working out for you. All right. Mike wants to know. He's talking about the Destiny foam hand cannon, which you might be able to win if you enter the giveaway. It says, is this the first foam gun you've made? And do you see yourself using this method more in the future? Or is it just a great option to keep in your repertoire? Let's grab ye old. There we go. Screen share that. Boop. I made this a couple weeks ago before Dragon Con. This is Sword Explosion from Borderlands, and it is made out of foam, most of it at least. These vent things were cast in resin, so those are not foam. This hose is an actual hose. Let's see, there's some PVC pipes and stuff in there, but for the most part, this is all foam floor mats. Crazy, right? And I love it because it's lightweight. Otherwise, that thing is gigantic. It would be like 30 pounds if that was MDF or something crazy like that. It's really fast to work with. That's one of the really, really impressive parts about using foam. If I drop that, it's not going to crack in half. It'll bounce. I could pretend to, pistol whip someone, or I got to bring this up. I went over this in my most recent video, where you could, if you're using it as a prop for, let's say, a short film or something. There we go. There we go. All right, let's screen share that. It's my shopmate Will and me hitting him in the face with a foam gun. You can just bonk people with it, and you're not going to hurt them. You could drop it. You could throw it from one person to another. You could hit someone with it, like if you're going to pistol whip them or whatever, and it won't hurt or anything. So there are a ton of benefits to using foam when you're making your gun. So I'm feeling like if I make if I make a big gun and I'm going to bring it to a convention, then I'm going to make it out of foam. Then I'm not worried about hurting anyone or breaking it. There we go. Thank you, Mike. Here we go. We've got one from Matt. Matt says, you make a whole lot of awesome stuff. Thank you, Matt. And you love photography. Any chance of you stepping into the short film world, making your own fan film, or even some original work other than that people will replicate props from? Oh, so I don't know. I like telling stories. That seems like a lot of fun, but I don't know if how far into that world I'll step. I like shooting video for sure. I want to be a part of some more film type stuff. So my friends over at Film Riot do a lot of that stuff, and they're really, really good at it. I would love to be a part of the production of one of their bigger projects. That would be really fantastic. But I don't know about shooting my own videos or not. We'll see, though. We'll see. I didn't know I was going to be a prop maker for a career, but that happened. All right. Lots of questions coming in. I'm just going to keep chewing through them, you guys. Keep going like crazy. Keith wants to know, do you plan on creating a vehicle to compete with the Marriott Chariot? For those of you that don't know, the Marriott Chariot, actually, I have another animated GIF of that. That's the Jeep Power Wheels that Harrison Cricks made. And here is his wife driving it in a wheelie. Let's do this. And yeah, there it goes. Whee! That thing will do 20 miles an hour. It's fantastic. And it is a lot of fun to drive. And I want my own. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to make or when, but I really do want to make something like that. Because I was like, oh, that's really neat, Harrison. That's kind of cool. You want to ride it? I said, oh, sure. And as soon as I sat down in it, I was 10 years old again. And it was so much fun. So I got to build something. All right. Yes, Keith. I'm going to make a vehicle. All right. John wants to know, have you been a huge, you have been a huge inspiration to me in my prop making. Well, good on you, John. I was wondering, when using a scroll saw, what type of blade do you recommend for cutting foam? A wood metal blade, a metal blade, etc. John, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really put a lot of thought into what blade I choose because for the most part, once I cut something out, I sand the hell out of it after it's been cut. I don't know. Maybe I should invest more time in learning what blades work, but usually I'll just go and get a general purpose blade for my scroll saw. I don't try to nitpick. I'm never really doing really small detailed stuff, so I don't have any of those really, really thin, crazy blades. Yeah, so a general purpose one usually works most of the time. Predator Prop says, you said when you first started out and quit your day job, you had about 6 months of commissions lined up. Did you advertise yourself somehow other than usual, Facebook, etc., or did people contact you? At first, people were just contacting me. At the time, I just had my website up and just, there's my email address, go crazy. I don't do that anymore. I have a contact form. Let's do this. I do have a contact form on my webpage, which is really useful because then I can sort of filter how my emails come in. But if you go to the contact us page here, there's a form there, which is great. With a link to an FAQ, a link to my Twitter if you want to just send me a message, and the type of stuff I usually cover if you want to get a hold of me. But before, like I said, I just had my email address just sitting right there on my webpage. So just people kept emailing me. What's important is I kept pushing my work out there on the internet. If I built something from Borderlands, I'd post it on the Borderlands forums. If I built something for Mass Effect, same thing. Go to the subreddit for Mass Effect and post stuff in there. Make it really easy for people to see the work that you've already done and make it easier for them to contact you. And that's how people started getting a hold of me. And then before you know it, you'll have more commissions than you can shake a stick at. All right, Matthew wants to know. Matthew was at Salt Lake Comic Con as well. Good fella. Matt says, I want to mount some of my personal stuff on the wall. EVA foam tends to squish if you rest it on something, though, especially edges. Suggestions for ways to do this safely? Yeah, that's... I have an idea. All right, this will take some forethought, but think about this, Matt. Put magnets in your foam gun. Yeah, stick with me. And then put magnets on the wall, and then you can just stick your thing up on the wall. Oh, that would be awesome. I should have put magnets in that hand cannon. Yeah, so that's one way you could go. Other ways you could do it would be to, whatever platform you're using to hold your gun, make it very wide in both dimensions, and then put more foam, go figure, on that so it has a nice soft landing pad to land on there. But seriously, try that magnet thing. That'll be cool. Let me know if you do, and let me know if it works. All right, hey, Trisha. Trisha would like to know, have you ever used plastics other than Worbla? Foss-shaped, styrene, or Wonderflex? If so, what's the difference and what do you recommend? Thanks. Learning so much from your show. Thanks for your question, Trisha. Tadpool represent. I love me some styrene. It's the thing with a lot of the plastics I use, I haven't used Worbla very much. A lot of the plastics I use, like PVC foam sheet, or i.e. Sintra, or styrene, is that they have a much higher melting point than Worbla. You can still melt them with a heat gun. It just takes a lot more heat. You can't mush it up like clay the way you can with styrene or with Worbla. You have to just remember that it's going to kind of mostly stay a flat sheet for the most part. But you can still shape it and fudge with it a whole bunch. Just not the same as you can with Worbla. But it's a sort of thing where if you want to keep a nice hard edge on something, use styrene. Wonderflex, I haven't really used that, but it's similar to Worbla, except it's got like a cloth in it, so you can't really mash that up a whole lot either. So for the most part, each one of them is good at what it does, and it's good for different jobs. So I keep a little bit of all of that stuff on hand for when I need it. All right. This question's coming in from Kevin. Watched your hand cannon video and was impressed by your paint mounting method. That is to say, I took the gun and I just put a screw in the barrel because you're not going to see that. And then that screw is what I use to hold it on. What are other clever things you do to hold props while you're painting them? Is it always a struggle? It is always a struggle for me to keep fingerprints out of my paint jobs. If I can break a piece while I'm painting it, if it can be broken into two parts and the surfaces that are going to be connecting them together can put a screw in those, and that's what I'll do. That way I can put that in a clamp. I can hang it up from that, or I can put it, even if I just hold it with a glove, like a rubber glove, and when I'm spray painting it, I can do that. Other than that, there are places where you can put stuff like the barrel of a gun is pretty good. If you can leave a piece off, like if you have a sword and you can leave the pommel off, drill something into there to hold it up. But a lot of times too, what I'll do is hang it from one spot, let's say the trigger guard of a gun, spray a whole layer of paint, and then hang it from a different spot once it dries and spray it again and cover the tiny spot you missed it was hanging from. Again, once it dries, let it dry, otherwise you'll smear your paint. There you go, Kevin. Try some of that stuff out. Hopefully it'll help you. Question coming here from Suzanne. How do you come up with your logo and design of your website? Did you do it yourself or hire someone? I got my friend Phil to help me out. Let's see if I can see if his website is still here. My friend Phil, good buddy of mine, and his website is loading very slowly. Basically, though, I gave him an idea. He came up with a whole bunch more ideas, and then we all got together, or the two of us got together to sort of mash them together until we got, okay, let's find this. Let's see here. Oh, philbernetsky.com. There we go. There we go. My buddy Phil. philbernetsky.com. Or if you look up Robot Breath, that's what he does. He does a lot of painting and stuff. This is robot paintings that he's done. And he's a freaking wizard, and he's really good at what he does. And he did this for me for my Kickstarter. So, yeah, I was like, hey, man, let's work together and make a logo. And he was like, let's do that. So that's what happened. So Phil's a wizard. Go check out his stuff. Boop. All right. Boy, you guys are firing with both barrels with all these questions. This is fantastic. Jeff wants to know, helmet making. Can you recommend a material for the eye shield? Something mirrored. If you can get a visor that's already made and incorporate that, you're going to like your life a whole lot more. So if we go to Amazon, let's do this together. Let's go on a journey together and look up motorcycle helmet visor mirrored. Let's see if that finds something. Yeah. All right. Let's swap this over. So here, there are all these already made visors that are not very expensive at all. $13 for that. This one's silver chrome one for $10. If you can find one, this one's kind of like blue. If you can find one that's already made, this one's like a big old dome thing. That's fantastic. Oh, these are all replacement ones for specific things with all these different colors. If you find one that you like this bubble one I really, really like, you could order that first or order two of them in case you break it. Get something that's close to what you want and the mirrored finish that you want, and then kind of build your helmet around it so that it looks pretty close and has that effect that you want. Now, you can sculpt a perfect visor, make a vacuum form buck, build a vacuum form table, vacuum form a visor out of PET plastic or acrylic, and then figure out how to tint it. And there are ways to do it, but that is a whole mess of work there. And you can do it, and I would love to try that someday. But if you want to get there from zero to mirrored finished visor in as quick as possible, then just go buy a motorcycle visor. I did that for my Dread helmet. David Reamer, who made the casting of that helmet, recommended a specific visor, so I went and got that one and actually put it in the helmet upside down to get a nice straight line across the front like Judge Dredd has. So there you go. Get a pre-made visor and you're going to love your life. John wants to know, do you prefer to make replicas or original designs? I like to do both equally, I would guess. I want to do more original designs. I got a notebook full of drawings back here and stuff I want to try out. But I also really want to make every gun from Destiny. And I want to work with other people who design stuff. I want to do a little bit of both. So we'll see. You know, just as the projects come in, I want to do, definitely want to do my own stuff though. Been having fun with that. Okay, thank you, John. Next question's from Andrew, another regular. When working with EVA foam, what are your preferred methods of sealing the foam to give it a more rigid, feel to it? Or rigid, like stiffer? If you want it to be a little bit more durable or stiff, then go with your epoxy resins. Smooth-On has their Epsilon. Let's find that here. Epsilon foam coating epoxy. It's designed specifically for coating epoxy, and you can get by with a trial size kit for not too much. This is $30 for a trial size unit, and you'll get a lot of life out of that. If you need, the more rigid you want it, the more layers you want to put on. So put a layer on, let it cure overnight, sand it, put another layer on, etc. And you can get some pretty rigid armor out of that with your foam. You can even do that on the thinner foam too. And if you want it to be really rigid, then back it up with some fiberglass and it'll be like real armor. Yeah. Okay, Josh would like to know, do you have any large costumes that you would really like to create? You know what? Some of my friends who are crazy have this thing where they love doing costumes that are really gigantic and elaborate, and they have a hard time getting around in them. And I haven't felt the impulse to do that yet. Yeah. Boy, I saw a guy making Hulkbuster armor. Saw someone making an Atlas from Mass Effect. All that stuff is fantastic. And, you know, my hat is off to those fine people, but I don't know. I don't have anything really gigantic that strikes me. Not yet, anyway. Not yet. I like my human-sized costumes. All right, that's enough questions from Facebook. We answered all those, I hope. Let's grab some more. We got lots more questions from the Q&A app, and we got about a half an hour to go. So keep asking them, and I'll keep answering them. This one's coming from Nathaniel. There we go. What would you like? What would you use as a gap filler for EVA phone? I always say if you can avoid gaps, then good on you. That's the best way to do it, is to avoid them in the first place. If you can't, then maybe try and cover them up with some more foam. If you have to fill them, you can kind of get away with things like filling it with hot glue. The problem is that the foam is squishy, and anything you put in there to fill it will not be. So you'll have a difference in density, and it'll make it really hard to smooth it down once you've filled it in. It's not like you have a piece of hard plastic with a gouge in it that you fill in Bondo and you can sand them both because they have a fairly similar density. Yeah, so hide your crimes. Either say that that's battle damage, or cover it with another piece of foam. If it's a seam and you're designing something, design it so the seam can be hidden by another piece of detail on top of it. Or just mash a bunch of super glue in there and just push it together and hold it until it stays closed. There you go. Onward. This one's from Stacy. Would the Epsilon stuff eat the pink insulation foam? I have been trying to figure out a way to make my pink foam props more sturdy. You know what? I haven't tried it. It is designed for foam, and I'm led to believe it'll work. But I haven't tried it myself. Although, let's just take a look at the website. Let's do a little bit of research together. Let's Let's go back to the Epsilon page. And this is a thixotropic epoxy coating that self-thickens for brushing onto a variety of surfaces without sagging. Cures at room temperature, blah, blah, blah. Impact-resistant coating for EPS. Yeah, extruded polystyrene or polyurethane foam. It can also be applied to plaster, concrete, wooden fabrics. So it says that you can put it on EPS, which is your insulation foam. I would still try it on a non-vital part of your costume first, maybe on a scrap or something, but it looks like you should be okay. Matt wants to know, anything lined up with Ryan from Film Riot for the future? Nothing set in stone, but whenever I have ideas, I throw them at Ryan and see if he bites at all. I would love, like I said before, love to do something with the Film Riot guys. Those guys are awesome and nice guys to boot. They're really, really cool. I got to hang out with them when they were in Seattle here for Creative Live. Those guys are awesome, and they're doing amazing stuff, and I want to be a part of it. So if you're listening, Ryan, call me. All right. Question from Brett. Brett says, I have the WM Armory gun building book, and I want to build a Destiny-style space gun like your hand cannon, but I don't have a scroll saw or a bandsaw. He's talking about the ebook that my shopmate will put out that you should all go grab. If you go to wmarmory.com and go to shop, look up reference material. Boop, there it is. He's got some blueprints in there, and he's got the foam firearm fabrication guide for $5. What are you doing? Go get it. Will is another just stupid talented guy, and that the gun on there, he designed it himself, and it looks really cool. Anyway, what else could I use to cut out the detailed shape instead of a scroll saw or a bandsaw? You can use a those click out. That's my clicking noise. Utility knives that have like the snap off things on them, and yeah, it's tricky, man. I did mine. I did the same thing. I used a scroll saw. I started with a knife, and I was like, "This, I would use a knife," but I have a scroll saw, so that's what I'm going to use. Yeah, use a knife. It's tricky. If you could use a really thin, really long, really sharp knife, and keep it sharpened, buy yourself a nice sharpener. That'll get you a long way there. But if you have the option to use a scroll saw, go ahead and use that. Nathan, my buddy Nathan, he says, "Morning, Bill." He says Nathan's over there in the United Kingdom. He doesn't realize that it's middle of the afternoon. How would you recommend transporting large props and a lot of props with yourself on a trip? I actually have a guitar case over there that I've used to put props in. It's kind of awesome. I put my big old Mass Effect rifle in there. I'll just wrap it up in foam, put it in the guitar case, close it up, and send it. If it's too big for something like that, you're going to have a hard time getting it on a plane. So you got to design it so that it comes apart in a couple of pieces. I did this with the Nausicaa rifle that I did. Let me see if I can find that real fast. It has these two big old barrels that are, let's see here, that are PVC pipe. So it made it kind of easy, not really easy, but it made sense to make those sort of slide in and out of one another. This guy right there. Let's get a whole big old picture of that. Share that. All right, there we go. This big old gun right here, it's like 5.5 feet long. So one of these segments right here hides a seam where the whole thing slides apart. So that's another one way you could do it. Boop. All right. Next one. Why did my music stop? Oh, it's just really quiet. All right. Scott wants to know, I attended the Jump Kick Punch panel. Thanks for doing that. Hey, Scott, thank you for being there. That was a lot of fun. For those of you that don't know, if you go to jumpkickpunch.com, it's a really cool podcast. A bunch of my buddies do. And they do it every other week, and it's fantastic. And we did a panel at Dragon Con. I don't have, this is Scott speaking, I don't have much workspace or time to do my own costumes or props. What should I do when looking for someone to do commissions? Pitfalls every year. I go to Dragon Con wanting to dress up. If you're looking to commission someone else, it's really vital that you find someone who can deliver, someone who has a track record for delivering things on time, especially if it's for like an event like Dragon Con. But mostly just people who finish projects. A lot of times people will get themselves in too deep with projects and never finish them, even though it's a commission for someone else. And if you're on the Replica prop forum, you'll hear horror stories about that, where people, so-and-so got paid half of it for the thing, and then they never finished it, and they want their money back. Unfortunately, that stuff does happen. So when you do commission someone, you're going to throw a pile of money at them to make something really rad, then just make sure they have a really good track record and make sure that they make really good stuff, and that it's worth the price you're throwing at them. There you go. Joe is asking me, will you ever build monsters and creatures or stick with props? You know what? I'm not going to say I'm not going to do creature effects, but it's really not my in my wheelhouse, as they say. But I might give it a try at some point. But I'll tell you what, right now I'm just in love with making space guns and that sort of stuff. So I'm going to do that for a while. And the costumes I've been picking, I usually like fantasy armor instead of like horror creatures. And I usually like my space armor. So just a personal preference of mine. There are plenty of people who are doing some really, really crazy, awesome creature sculpts. And they are wizards. And you should check them out. But I am not one of them. This one's coming from Lisa. What do you think is the best clear coat finishing spray for different props to make them last or not be sticky? For general purpose stuff, I keep some flat or matte clear spray paint on hand. Rust-Oleum makes some pretty good stuff. I also like to use, if I need it to dry really fast, I have some clear flat lacquer that I'll use in my airbrush because I'll finish a part, spray a little bit of lacquer on there because it dries really fast. So those two things I would recommend, especially if you need it to dry fast. Lacquer is your jam, but I'm not sure if you can get that in a rattle can or not. Look around. I do want to start playing with finishing stuff, like some parts flat, some parts with a gloss finish based on what they need. I want to do more of that, mask off the finish so that I have different textures and different specularities all around. Boop, boop, boop. All right, this one's from Megumi. I am currently making Satsuki's sword from Kill La Kill. I don't know what that is. Satsuki. You know what? I'm just going to copy and paste. Beep. Copy. Beep. Paste. I don't know who Satsuki is. Okay, this is like a katana looking thing. Got it. There we go. Do you have any suggestions for making simple moving parts? It has a rectangular decorations on the sheath that snap over the guard as the sword is inserted into the sheath. Well, here you go, everyone. Here's the thing. These rectangular bits that you're talking about here. That's going to be tricky because you've got to build it. These sort of things have a habit. When you build it, you're like, oh, it'll totally work. You build the two pieces separate. And then when you put them together, like they're supposed to slide together, things don't line up and everything. So a lot of trial and error and a lot of patience goes a long way with this sort of thing to get it to fit the way you really want it to. This is it looks almost like a belt, like a plastic, like parachute clip or belt buckle thing. Yeah, trial and error, and don't build all the pieces first, kind of line them up before you glue them all together. And if you can, slide the pieces together and then glue them into the base if any of this makes sense, so that they are in their container when you glue them. Make sure you don't glue the whole thing together closed. That would suck. But that way you know that when you pull it apart, those things will be in the right position. But good luck. You've picked a very ambitious project to try out there. This one is from Kayla. I'm thinking about doing a Groot cosplay using stilts. Do you have any experience using stilts? I do not. However, let's find someone here. All right, Prop Customs, PROPCUSTOMZ. This dude Kalen makes some really fantastic stuff, and he did a Groot. I think he did a Groot. Make a liar out of me. I picked the wrong person. I see a little sculpting Groot. I think I picked the wrong person. This is embarrassing. I'm sorry, Kalen. He sculpted a tiny Groot. I'm thinking of Hurley effects. Yeah, there's a Groot right on his profile. So Hurley effects. Let's do this. This is the coolest, most crazy, awesome Groot I've seen. It's really freaking fantastic. Hurley FX on Facebook. Go follow them because that is just crazy town awesome. And you got to go check that out. But you want to talk about Groot, that's the way to go. And I do believe they did stilts with that. I'm guessing there had to be stilts. I've never done it before, so go check that out and see how they did it. There you go. Another one from Joe. For somebody starting out, what prop do you suggest to start with? Pick something you like a lot. Pick something awesome. Don't worry about being too ambitious. You may not finish it. That's fine. But pick something you love, because if you don't like the thing you're making and you get to a part that isn't as fun as you thought it would be, you're not going to be motivated to finish it because you don't care about it. So just pick something you think is really rad and stick with it. And don't feel bad if you don't finish it. But if you don't finish it, then try something else. Keep going. Keep making stuff. All right, this question's from Abatham. Would clay work as a cheap one-shot mold for casting something in resin? Yes. That's called, well, it depends how intricate it is. But if you have a one-part mold, a very shallow one-part mold, like if you have a button you really like, you could push it into a chunk of clay. It's called a push mold. And you'll have a negative impression in the clay. You could staple a whole bunch of them and then pour in some resin, and you have a little one-shot mold. The question goes on. Is it possible to cast hollow resin pieces like the body of a weapon so you can stuff electronics inside? It sure is. You can either do what my friends from Cosplay For Us all did and cast two separate pieces, have two molds, or have one mold and slush cast it. So you pour a bunch of resin in, you slush the resin around so it clings to the sides, and then when it cures, you pour a little bit more resin in, you sort of build up the thickness on the walls. That's called slush casting or roto casting. And yeah, it's great. It's a lot of work, but it's pretty cool. All right, we got about 15 minutes left and a whole crap load of questions. I'm going to keep rolling. Thank you guys again so much for bringing the content. You guys are awesome. This question is from Jonin K. Cosplay. Assuming you haven't already, do you have any plans to do a video installing LEDs? I haven't done that, but I will tell you this. I'm doing another foam making ebook, the volume 3 of the Foamsmith trilogy. And I will go over LEDs in that, how I like to do my LEDs. If you're looking for a really quick way to do something like that, then buy something pre-made. For example, a really cheap flashlights they make at Harbor Freight, or they sell at Harbor Freight, are like $2 a pop. I crack those things open all the time. I'll just add some leads on them, and then I got a button, I got batteries, and I got a light that I can put in stuff. All right, here's one from Ian. Have you ever tried doing wet sanding on foam to smooth out seams for more rounded organic shapes before painting? Will, my shopmate, likes to wet sand his foam armor and props. And if you check out his ebook, he probably talks all about that. It's using it to round out or smooth out your seams that's probably not really going to work so well. Foam likes to kind of get these little burrs and stuff in it. And I'm not sure if wet sanding is going to affect that. Again, something I haven't really tried, but maybe you want to give it a go and see how it works out for you. For me, instead of smoothing out seams, I either plan on where they should go and hide them or use them along with the design, or I try and just get them really, really clean. This one is from Charlie. Charlie asks, what are your opinions on resin coating foam props for increased durability? You can definitely do that. You can use that Epsilon resin, and that should help a whole lot. I want to try more Plasti Dip. I haven't used it a whole lot, but I used it a bit for my last ebook. And they make it now in a metal, like it sprays out in like a gold color, and that seems awesome to me. You do need to use a lot of layers if you really want to build up a good sort of wall around it. I also want to do more with, I got a critter spray gun, and I want to spray balloon latex on there. I did some tests for my ebook, but I didn't get my hands on any of that balloon latex. I got some other latex. It worked okay, but I want to try more. Try more with that. All right, this one's from Nathaniel. I have a question about strapping that I've been having trouble finding out. How would you attach bicep armor to the rest of your armor? This is for an EVA suit of armor. It really depends. A lot of times, like a bicep piece, I'll put like elastic around it so that it sticks tight to my arm. And then to keep it in place, I'll put a strap up to the shoulder armor, if there is any. Or I'll put Velcro on the undersuit, which is how I did it with my Shepherd armor. So it's twofold. It's the Velcro on the undersuit, and it's elastic holding it tight to my body. That's how I've done it in the past. Another one from Megumi. Do you use any math equations to figure out what weight to make your props and armor? Usually not worried about weight. I do worry about volume when I'm pouring silicone or if I'm pouring resin, and I need to figure that out. For example, here's some math. I was making these bases. They're hexagons for these trophies I made for Wizards of the Coast, and they're hexagonal prisms. And you can just go and find out. There's an equation to figure out the volume of a hexagonal prism. So I did that for my mold box. I did that for the piece. I subtracted, and I got the exact amount of silicone I needed to mix in milliliters to pour the silicone, and it was spot on. So I'm like, hey, my high school math teacher, Mrs. McLeod, would be very proud of me for using that much math. This question's coming from Douglas. Douglas says, I'm making a new costume for the Halo universe. I need to make a silenced submachine gun from ODST. What should I do? MDF board like what you did with your rifle? You could do it that way, and I've done it before in the past. Very new to making prop weapons, and I'm going to sound like a broken record, but you might want to try and make it out of foam first because it's going to be really cheap and fast. Yeah, give it a go out of foam, especially if you don't really have a lot of tools on hand. MDF is great. I love using it, but I also have a bandsaw and a scroll saw and a big drill press and a big belt sander and a Dremel and a big air-powered rotary tool. I've got all these really wonderful tools that are great for chewing through a super dense material like MDF. If you don't have all that, then you know what? Give foam a try. That's going to be my new slogan. Give foam a try. Andrew wants to know, when attaching armor to cloth, would you recommend using button snaps? Yeah, you know what? My pal Holly did that for her Shepherd armor. And she made it like so she could sit down. She made it parts that she could unsnap. It would still be attached to her body, but parts near her hips she would unsnap so she could sit down. And she had these really cool, I'm not sure if they're button snaps or not, but these really neat snaps that were glued to the back of her armor and then sewn to her undersuit so that she could snap it right on there. So yes, I would totally recommend doing that. Matt wants to know, any chance of coming to Australia and maybe Ryan as a Q&A guest. I don't know what that means, but I would love to go to Australia, except that apparently everything there is trying to kill you. But I'd be willing to chance it, to check out what everything is like down under. I hear it's rather lovely down there. Yeah, but I would totally love to go down there and be a guest or something, Q&A, run some panels, check out all the costumes, see what the scene is like down in Australia. Totally. Nathan wants to know, since there have been a few mentions of original props, any crazy ideas for the mystery commission? Nathan's got a mystery commission I'm making for him. Always fun to go inside the mind of a mad genius. I'm a little bit mad. Boy, howdy, right now I want to make all the guns from Destiny. How's that sound? Boy, it would be really fun to kind of take something from Destiny and run with it and kind of play with it. Or I don't know. I go through phases like before a couple months ago. I'm like, I want to build a mace, a really big mace. But now I'm in full on space gun mode. So that's what the inside of this brain is like. It's like space guns, space guns, space guns. Let's make space guns. Yeah. Question from Brett. Do you have any Dremel tips with EVA foam? Yeah, a little goes a long way. That Dremel will chew right through EVA like crazy. Oh, Matt wants to know Ryan from Film Ryan as a guest. That would also be fantastic. Yeah, me and Ryan could talk about prop making and filmmaking. That'd be fantastic. Anyway, Dremel tips. Yeah, a little goes a long way. So be gentle and practice on some scraps first, because you will chew right through something like crazy without even a little bit of effort. It'll just go right through it. So yeah, go gentle, practice a whole bunch. Let's see here. Okay, Joe wants to know, what is your favorite build of all time? It's like picking my favorite child, man. I love him so much. Usually I say whatever the last thing is I built is my favorite, but that's kind of the jerk artist in me. I am super proud of how the Mass Effect rifle I made turned out. Let's dig up an image of that. I gotta have a picture on my computer here. Beep, 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 beep. There we go. M98 Widow. Yeah, let's pop that up. There we go. This is the M98 Widow sniper rifle from Mass Effect, and I do love it. Love it so much. And I got to see it at Dragon Con because the dude what paid me to make it was there, and he was toting it around like a total badass, which was awesome. So let's go with that. This one's from Alex. I'm looking to make a sword to look like coral. What would be some suggestions to prep the material before paint to give it that effect? It would probably be a combination of wood dowels and pink insulation foam. That might be a case where coating it in epoxy resin like that Epsilon would be really good. You may have to put something else on there to get it that texture. The texture of coral is going to be really challenging to replicate. Definitely look at a lot of coral. It's the sort of thing where you're like, oh, I totally know what that looks like. And then you go look at a picture of it and you're like, oh, this is a lot different than I thought. So look at a lot of reference images. Probably make kind of a base shape out of foam and coat it in something like epoxy resin. That Epsilon's really good. And then you may have to get really creative with getting your texture. So it's probably not going to be any one thing. You're probably going to have to do a lot of trial and error, testing it out. But that's the fun part. The fun part. Joan and Kay says, how did your costumes hold up in the Arizona heat at Phoenix Comic Con? Did you have any warping issues? Yeah, it was stupid hot in Arizona. It wasn't even apparently the hot. 106 degrees wasn't as hot as it gets. I did my Mass Effect armor. It's all EVA foam. It's put together with super glue and some hot glue, and it held up just fine. The great thing about EVA is if it does warp, then you can just heat it up again with a heat gun and bend it back into place. But I didn't have any problems with it. I do know that if you make something out of Warbler and you leave it in your backseat in your car in Phoenix, it will melt. It will fall apart and melt. So just keep that in mind if you're one of those crazy people that lives in a desert like Phoenix. But EVA foam, piece of cake. Check mark for foam. Bing. Let's crank out a couple more. Let's see here. Got a lot of really great questions. Thank you again, you guys. This one's from KT again. Do you have any issues with hot glue not holding straps to the foam armor? No, but I'll tell you what I do to make sure that straps stay down. If you have foam armor on the backside where you're going to glue that strap down, take a knife and score the foam, and so you have some grooves there. Then when you put all your hot glue in, it'll go into those grooves and it'll have something to grip on and the foam to hold it there. And then two things. One, if you're gluing down elastic straps, sew them to a chunk of nylon webbing first, something that won't stretch, and then hot glue that down. Because then when it pulls, when the elastic stretches, it won't stretch on the glue part. It'll stay not stretched. The other thing I like to do is I'll put glue down on the foam, I'll mash my strap down, and then I'll put glue around the edge of it and maybe some over it on the high stress points to hold it down a little bit. So try those things out and you should be just fine. Whew. All right. AS Tivision. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry. Have you heard of the knife blades for the bandsaw? They're for cutting or shearing fabric. I haven't tried them myself, but I thought it would be great for foam armor making. That does sound really cool. Here's the only downside with a sharp-edged knife like that. Foam dulls the crap out of it. So I've been using an 18 tooth per inch blade on my bandsaw for cutting foam, and it works really, really well. But I didn't know there was such a thing as a knife blade. So I might have to try that out just to see how it goes. But I imagine that it would dull really fast just because foam is a jerk like that. Razor edged. What? All right, I'll do a screen share on this. I got to show you guys. Look at this craziness. Like wavy blades and stuff. That is so cool. They look like epic swords. So yeah, thanks for letting me know that. I might have to check those out. Yeah. All right. Well, hey guys, that's just about it. I gotta go get some more stuff done today, so I'm gonna go run off and do that. But thank you guys all for showing up and bringing your awesome questions. You guys never disappoint. You always bring such fantastic stuff to make this show the super cool thing that it is. Once again, if you guys want to join in on the Destiny hand cannon foam prop giveaway, just go over to punishedprops.com. You'll see a link right there. Check it out. Enter to win. Totally free. Enjoy that. And also all of this stuff, the Foamsmith Trilogy, Volume 2, $5 at punishedprops.com. Totally worth it. More value in that than a pumpkin spice latte from Starbucks. So go bonkers. Grab it. That's it, everyone. I'm going to head out of here. Thank you again so much for bringing yourselves and your questions and making this show the awesome thing that it is. Until next week, you guys, this is Bill, and I'm going to go make more stuff in the shop. See ya.